another woman has come forward to accuse Diddy of sexual assault, and the amount of victim blamers in the comments is astounding. Some of the victim blaming included criticizing her for not coming forth immediately, and I was told that I hate black men for calling out victim blaming. Other people wanted to claim that she's not a victim because she didn't press charges, but the statute of limitations does not allow for it. A lot of people fail to realize that once the statute of limitations is passed, a civil suit is the only course of action. And when I shared this well-known fact, I was told to speak on things that I know, like lace fronts, which is funny because I've never actually even worn a lace front before. Many black men seem to be upset at the fact that he's a billionaire, and the victims may be awarded a substantial amount of money. As a survivor of sexual assault, I understand all too well why a lot of women don't speak up right away. It's the responses on posts like this that deter people from speaking up. And even when sexual assault victims speak up right away, 97% of rapists never spend a day in jail. Aside from all the black men spewing hatred towards black women, the thing that disturbed me even more was the amount of women victim blaming. People seem to not understand the amount of power, money, and influence Diddy has had back then and today. Are people seriously going to disregard the amount of people that he shot and gotten away with? Or when he blew up Kid Cudi's car for talking to Cassie? Or even the abuse and sexual assault Cassie has faced? And let's not act like NDAs are not a thing. A lot of people's NDAs probably expired, which is why they're coming forward now. And it really blows me how many people are so upset over victims being compensated fairly for their pain and suffering. The amount of women I see victim blaming because people are winning money in a civil suit is mind-boggling. I was even called a black Karen for calling out the people who side with rapists. There were black men claiming that black men have no power, but we're not going to act like Diddy didn't pay $50,000 to get the copy of the public assault that he did to Cassie. If he had enough money to pay for that, he could definitely pay off all the other things he was doing behind the scenes. And the amount of people calling women liars because they sue for money is ridiculous, because the majority of women do not lie about being sexually assaulted. In fact, there's only 3% of all sexual assault reports that are fake, while 97% of all rapists never get any consequences. The only thing that really makes sense as to why so many black men are triggered is that they must see themselves in Diddy, and they're scared that the women that they've abused might come forward. And I just want to say, for the women who still have never shared their stories, it's never too late to speak up about sexual assault. In the court of public opinion, a lot of rape victims are damned if they speak up immediately, and they're damned if they don't. When they speak up immediately, they're victim blamed, they're not believed, all of the same things that are happening when they don't speak up right away. And when they wait too long to speak up, then people want to criticize them for waiting so long. But they still get the victim blaming, and they still get people calling them liars. So would the people rather these women never speak up? Because that's basically what you're telling women to do. Whether they're assaulted and they speak up after 5 days, or if they speak up after 20 years. I think the fact that men assault women is more important than however long it takes for a victim to feel comfortable to speak. And the saddest part about all this is that even when you do speak up immediately, there's no consequences for these men. One man said that if his daughter waited too long to tell him, he would want to know why the F did she wait that long? Because it was probably someone close to him, and she didn't tell him because they were effing and she was sneaking behind his back. That response right there is exactly why women don't speak up. It's exactly why daughters don't speak up. Their own father would blame them for their assault. And the amount of superficial analogies men would bring up were so dumb. Someone asked me, if my car got stolen, would I wait 20 years to report it? If my car got stolen, nobody would call me a liar. If my car got stolen and I was compensated by the insurance company, nobody would tell me that I'm a liar and I'm just doing it for money. If my car was stolen, there'd be cameras on the street and proof of who stole it. If my car was stolen, the people who stole it would be held accountable, and they would have consequences, unlike 97% of rapists. Here's some of the disgusting things that men said in my DMs. Eat a D, you fat, ugly B. A guy who claimed that he was sexually assaulted as well seemed to not get how Cassie coming forward, being awarded a settlement, and finally being believed would give other women courage to speak up too. He starts off by saying that he's not calling her a liar, but then ends up calling her a liar because she waited too long to speak up, even though he took under a year to speak up. Weird how that victim blaming works when you've been in the same situation. He also seemed confused as to how someone would act if they were drugged. He said, if you were drugged, why wouldn't you leave before you lose consciousness? As if someone being drugged and losing consciousness is something that they choose to do. He then goes on to criticize her for not going to the hospital immediately. But just like the women that were drugged by Cosby, they don't have a full recollection of what happened. So 20-something years ago, how are you going to go report a crime if you don't even remember what happened to you? I will say the men in the comments really showed their true character. Then there were the women trying to defend those, asking for all the details, asking why didn't you do this and why didn't you do that and why would they wait to come forward? Why didn't they go to the hospital? It's a difference of opinion, but there is no difference of opinion when it comes to rapists and abusers. Women acting like they need to know every minute detail of a sexual assault when they claim to believe the victim is pretty disgusting. Most people's line of questioning is not in good faith, and it only serves to minimize the abuse that victims experience while undermining the trauma that they go through. I could make a follow-up video to tell you reasons why some sexual assault survivors act the way that they do from my own personal experience. So if you'd like to hear that, leave a comment below.